Fumiko has revealed what devil she has, and she has the STD Devil. What the heck? She tells Denji this during their deep conversation. This was crazy. Let's read the chapter. So the chapter starts off with Sugo saying that the War Devil will be here soon, and they came up with 3 strategies. And Denji is not paying attention at all. He's just staring. And then Sugo says, that's the plan. Remember, all of humanity rests on your shoulders. So that whole time, Denji didn't hear anything, and he says, okay. Sugo says, rest up in the nurse's office, we'll wake you when it's time. Then we see him in a bed. He says, if I don't do something about Yoru and Asa, I guess a crazy war is gonna break out. I didn't hear a word of the second half, am I gonna be okay? And then Denji remembers these 2 moments, and he says, it's okay to do this in the nurse's office, right? But then right under the bed, we see Fumiko, and she says, need some help? This was funny right here, and then Denji's like, whoa. She says, don't react, lie there and listen quietly, good evening, it's me Fumiko Mifune, and then Denji just closes his mouth. She says, Denji senpai, Death Devil is using you, you know? And he's like, for real? And she says, just think about it. What do you think will happen if you defeat the War Devil? Won't that trigger the Death Devil wiping out mankind like in the prophecy? Whatever she says, at the end of the day, death likes death. She's worse than you think, senpai. And he says, but she carried me here. She's a good girl. Fumiko says, are you sure about that? And Denji's like, am I wrong? Fumiko says, she killed several of my public safety colleagues. She even killed me multiple times. Denji's like, huh, but you're alive. And she's like, yes, I am alive. At age 14, I made a contract with the STD Devil. With its power, any human who does stuff with Fumiko Mifune becomes Fumiko Mifune in both mind and body. After I made the contract, I did it all over the world. There's a Fumiko Mifune in every country now. Denji doesn't say anything, and then she says, well, with all that chaos lately, my number of selves have steadily fallen, but we're still routinely exchanging information. Wars are breaking out around the globe even without the War Devil's involvement. People are dropping like flies to conflict and disease even when Death Devil does nothing. The devils don't have to lift a finger, mankind is slowly marching itself toward its own doom. But if War Devil, or rather you Denji senpai, were to eat the Death Devil, then mankind could live on forever. So what if mankind starts an endless war because of the War Devil? We're already fighting non-stop wars all over the world. Denji says, huh, is that how it is? Fumiko says, besides, Denji senpai, why do you think you haven't turned into a weapon yet? Denji says, huh, and then Fumiko says she should have been able to turn you into a weapon when you were dead earlier. Denji says, why didn't she? Fumiko says, it's because she loves you. In a world without death, you should be able to secure a happy life with the War Devil. And Denji does find some happiness in this. Fumiko says, when you do, I appreciate it if you ask Lady War Devil to extend her mercy to me. And then Denji's like, aren't you using me too? And then she says, senpai, I'll give you this photo. And what is this photo? And it's a nude photo, and I will be real, Fujimoto did not draw all the details, so it's not that explicit. But she gave him a nude photo to mess with his mind, and she says, I'll be going now. And I thought this was hilarious. I don't care what anybody says. And to end the chapter, Denji says she's a really good girl. So it looks like Denji is not just falling for Yoru or the Death Devil, he's falling for Fumiko. All these girls are getting in his head, and he really doesn't know what to do. And honestly, if I were him, I wouldn't know what to do either. So I am very intrigued to see what will happen next chapter. But what do y'all think of this new chapter and Fumiko's Devil?